Hi there, Tropical Bob here, and today I'm going to talk about yet another option to get you off inhaling tobacco smoke from cigarettes. It's not an electronic cigarette, it's not a reduced risk cigarette, it's a butane-heated smoking device that actually vaporizes real tobacco, and it's called the Ploom. It was a few years ago when James Monses and Adam Bowen were college students, and they said, what would the cigarette be like if it were invented today? A tobacco-filled paper tube would simply be out of the question. It would never pass today's regulations and requirements. It wouldn't even be considered for a patent. Smoke is a known health hazard. But vapor, now that's another matter. The electronic cigarette produces vapor, but it does it with a battery. And it does it with a chemical concoction, a cocktail of propylene glycol, a few other things, and nicotine itself, extracted from tobacco. Those who use electronic cigarettes say this is a tobacco product. Those who oppose electronic cigarettes say this is a drug, a new drug. Well, the Ploom, the result of the thinking by Monses and Bowen, is not going to have that problem. You see, it uses butane to heat small capsules, little pellets that contain real tobacco. There's no question that this is a real tobacco product. This is not a drug. A full kit to get you started with the Ploom will cost $75. It'll come with a Ploom in a special box with its own instructions. It comes with a handy little carrying case for going out on the town. And it comes with a number of ready-made boxes of the little tobacco pellets. We'll open them up and you can see how they're stored in here. You just reach in, grab one, pull it out, and this is going to go inside. This is going to get dropped on the damn floor. This is going to go inside your Ploom. Your Ploom comes apart at the mouthpiece right here. The pellet goes in like this, and then the mouthpiece goes back on. There's a square end here that you want to line up with the square on the other side. There. Now your Ploom gets filled with butane, the same kind of butane that you buy for your cigarette lighter, or hopefully you used to buy for your cigarette lighter at the tobacco store, and it fills in the end right down here. There's a viewing window. You can hold your Ploom up to light and see if you've got enough butane in there to finish the job. To turn it on, there's a little depression here at the end. You want to press that until you hear a click. When you hear the click, the butane is going through. You'll also see a red light glow inside to tell you that, yes, things are heating up in here. The flavor I'm using here is called Naked. Naked is a pure tobacco flavor, and you might not find it tasteful the first time you try it. Think back to when you first smoked a cigarette. What happened? Tasted dreadful, didn't it? You probably gagged, maybe you threw up in the bushes, you know, but you went back and you tried again, and pretty soon, things tasted okay to you. Kind of like beer, strictly an acquired taste. It's not naturally good tasting. It becomes good tasting after you use it for a while. This is pretty much the same way. I'm beginning to get used to Naked. I also, well, Naked in terms of my Ploom. I'm also fond of a flavor called Gold, which adds honey to the mix. They have at least two, last time I checked, non-nicotine flavors, so you can produce vapor that does not continue your addiction to nicotine, thus making this a pretty ideal way to quit the entire habit addiction cycle of smoking tobacco cigarettes. Now, what's in a pellet? Let's take a close-up look. To find out what's inside the pellet that Ploom sells in little packs of 12, I opened one up. They just have a little aluminum tinfoil kind of top that is punctured by the mouthpiece when it's put in place. And inside you'll find very, very fine powdered tobacco. Not much of it, as a matter of fact, and you can see a little bit of a stain here where the moisture dried out of the pellet. But there's not much, and I wondered to myself, what would happen if I could find a way to use other tobacco to create a kind of roll your own plume pellet? And I got it. The answer turned out to be nasal snuff. In the background here is my really neat pipe ashtray, but this is also where I store the used pellets as I've vaporized their contents. And in the foreground here are two of my very favorite nasal snuffs. But nasal snuff has come to kind of make me sneeze too frequently to keep me a happy camper. So I was looking for another use for it. It plays perfectly in here. And it offers flavors from Dolakia, such as Swiss chocolate and coffee bite. Also offers like mango and peach and pineapple and all those decadent flavors now outlawed by Food and Drug Administration through the act of Congress, but legal in nasal snuff. So if I take nasal snuff and find a way to use it, I've got all my flavors, and I have got the cheapest nicotine kick on this planet. Now, to make our own, you're going to need three things. You're going to need used pellets. Don't throw them away. You're going to need some nasal snuff. Your choice on flavor. I even like clove, called Pompadour. Boy, that stuff's good. The chocolate is really good, and the coffee is just perfect after supper or first thing in the morning. You're going to need also a kind of a spoon, or this is my pipe tobacco tool, which I keep on my keychain. This becomes my measuring object for snuff, whether I'm using it as nasal snuff or whether I'm using it in the little pellet. Let's try it in the pellet. Now, the first thing we're going to do is add just a little drop of vegetable glycerin or propylene glycol, either one, to the pellet itself. And then we want to come in here this way and get, about a quarter of a spoonful of tobacco nasal snuff and drop it in here. Yep, there it went. That was pretty good. I tip it over sometimes if I'm truthful with you. Now you've got a little bit of tobacco in there, and you're going to add another drop of moisture, because you want wet tobacco. You want to, and wet with either vegetable glycerin or propylene glycol, not water and not alcohol. We'll let it soak in for just a minute, and then we'll put it in our plume and enjoy it. And we put it in here, we put the end piece on, we ignite it. Yes, it's glowing. Can you see it? Yeah, there it is. Out of focus, but it's glowing. Now, instead of having the flavors offered by Ploom, we're going to have the flavors offered by Tropical Bob. There's only one real drawback to a Ploom once you get used to the taste, and I guarantee you will get used to the taste. It becomes pretty good. This area right here becomes very, very hot. I'm not saying it will blister, but it becomes very, very hot. I know it won't start fires because I tried, but it's still too hot to touch. If Muncie's and Bowen would find a way to somehow insulate this, they've done a good job with the mouthpiece of putting little cuts in there so that you can see right through it. This helps to vent some of the heat away, get some of this heat out of here. The vapor itself, not too hot. And I will tell you that this is stronger than just about any electronic cigarette I have ever tried. This one will make me cough when I inhale it. So I've learned to use this very much as I use a cigar in a pipe, for the enjoyment of taking the flavor into my mouth, exhaling out my nose, and sitting back and enjoying without a cough. I think we're running out of the pellet. The pellet lasts between 10 and 15 minutes, and it's kind of Your call. Is it finished, or do I want to drain every little last bit out of it, even though the vapor's getting kind of wimpy? If you're going to roll your own baby at the cost, change it as frequently as you'd like. Whoa, that's strong even just taking it into your mouth. This is coffee. This is nasal snuff, coffee bite nasal snuff. When I told Adam Bowen about what I was doing, they have a warning on their product that says do not use other materials in their plume. I think they were thinking of cannabis, not to be vaporized and used this way, although probably it could be. But I told him what I was doing with nasal snuff, and it fascinated him. Oh my gosh, they've been using Virginia cured tobacco ground finer even than you would get in a pipe. It's almost like the dust you find at the bottom of a pipe pouch bag. But nasal snuff comes in various degrees of moisture and coarseness, so you could tailor it to your needs. However, I find that I don't like the tobacco nasal snuffs. I've got quite a few different flavors. Toke is a pretty good brand, high among snuff users. I've got Toke vanilla, and Toke blueberry, and Toke, what, honey and marmalade it's called? Toast and marmalade is honey and whiskey. Got that also. And then Pompadour. Pompadour is the darndest clove you're ever, it's like smoking an atomic fireball, people, when you put this in your little pellet and use it. I've read some critical reviews of this thing. People tried it once and, oh, don't like the Ploom, it doesn't taste like a cigarette. E-cigarettes don't taste like cigarettes either. None of them taste like any cigarette you have ever smoked. Don't let that stop you. E-cigarettes will get you off cigarettes. This will get you off cigarettes. And I will tell you this with some degree of passion, this is a part of my no-smoking kit from now on. I strongly advise making it a part of yours. E-cigarettes don't do it completely for me. That's why I use snus. That's why I use Java Stonewall. And now that's why I'm going to be using my Ploom 3-4 times a day, sitting in my recliner, enjoying it after supper as I would a good cigar. Boy, Monsees and Bowen got it right. They hit it at the right time. They've got a good product on the market at a good price. Shoot, 2 or 3 cartons of cigarettes will take care of everything that you could possibly order from Ploom. And if you roll your own pellets from that point on, you are home free.